Dear fellow coders, welcome to One Little Coder. This is week 2, day 8 of Kaggle's 30 days of machine learning. And if you have come to this stage, I think you have already done a great job in learning basics of Python. So now we are going to start with lesson 1 of Introduction to Machine Learning. And what is there in Introduction to Machine Learning? And then we are going to see a little bit introduction about pandas, and then we have an exercise to complete. So let's first start understanding how machine learning works. How models even work in the first place. How models work. So Kaggle has tried to explain in a very non-technical way how models work. So first of all, how machine learning models work. Whenever we say models, it's about machine learning models. If you have ever done statistical modeling or machine learning, like whatever we are going to see might look trivial, so you can skip over this section. So imagine a scenario where you have got your cousin who has made a lot of money just by predicting real estate. Like you would probably see a lot of people around you who would try to predict the price of an item, especially in this case, let's say real estate. So now you're going to ask your cousin how does he actually predict the real estate, how does he predict the real estate values. And then your cousin might say, oh, I predict it using my intuition. My intuition is what I use to predict. Like that's what your cousin might say. But in reality, if you see, your cousin might follow a predicting pattern. Your cousin might follow a set of rules to finally predict the price. And that's exactly how machine learning also works. And this type of machine learning is what we call a decision tree model, where you have got a bunch of rules and based on that you make a decision. So let's take an example. So what is the example? So the example is, let's say like the simplest example, let's say your cousin is going to check whether the house has got more than 2 bedrooms. Like if the house has got more than 2 bedrooms, then he's going to predict this price. If your house, sorry, if it does not have more than 2 bedrooms, this is the price. If the house has got more than 2 bedrooms, then this is the price. Now this is a very simple decision tree, like very typical of what happens in a decision tree algorithm. You have got a rule, and based on that rule something happens, the split happens. Like in this case, the split happens. After the split happens, a prediction is made based on the split, the condition in the split. So now this is exactly what machine learning also does. So the only main thing in machine learning is you are going to not make this decision based on one information. You're going to make this decision based on a lot of data. So you're going to make this kind of decision based on a lot of data, and that process is what we call as training or fitting a model. Training or fitting a model means you have set of data, and then using that data you try to come up with these kind of training rules, the rules that would help you make the decision, finally predict the price. So whatever helps you to predict the price, and that process is called model fitting or training, so that you can actually capture the pattern. And now the data that you use for training is called training data. For example, you might use last 10 years data. Your cousin might have last 10 years of experience in real estate that he was able to come up and predict this. So the data that anybody uses to predict is called training data. The process of training a model, the process of teaching rules for a model, machine learning model, is called fitting or training the model. And now finally, what do? You predict. So that's the final. You either call it predict or inference, whatever you want to call it. So the first step in any machine learning practice is fitting or training the model with the necessary training data, and then after you do that, you try to predict the final price. Now let's see if we can improve our decision tree. So if you see, like the first decision tree that we had like one bedroom, like one condition, like only one condition, and then we have something else. But what if can we improve the decision tree? Yes, we can improve the decision tree. So now the first decision tree is the same like this. The second decision tree, if you look at it, it says, does the house have more than 2 bedrooms? And then it says, if it is no, this is the price, and if it is yes, this is the price. Does it make sense? So ideally, when you have more bedrooms, your cost should be more, right? Like this decision tree. But in this case, it is not the case. This decision tree says, no, it may not be the case. Why? Probably it might be possible that this house, in this case, this house had something else. Like this house had something else that is beyond the bedrooms. Maybe this house had a big living room. Maybe this house had a lot of better interior work, but that is not captured here. And that is the point that we are trying to make is, when we start adding more factors when we start adding more factors, then we might have more splits. Right now we have only one split because only one factor we have, which is whether it has 2 bedrooms or not. But when we start adding more factors, just like this example, like let's take a look at it, which is like a deeper tree, which will help you in building a deeper tree. If you look at this decision tree, what happens? The first split happens based on whether you have more bedrooms, more than 2 bedrooms. Okay, yes goes here, no comes here. But what if the size of the bedroom matters? The size of the bedroom matters. What if they don't have a 2 bedroom but still the size is a lot? Then that is another split. So the more number of factors you add, the more number of splits you would have, the deeper the tree would become. So more number of factors, more number of splits, and the deeper the tree would become, which also means the better your accuracy would become, because you are actually incorporating a lot of factors that might help you in deciding what would be the price, ideal price. So your machine learning model would intend to learn more better than what it could have done with only one single factor. And with the prediction that we make, the final part, this prediction part, this is called a leaf. So this is called a split, this is called a split, and this is called a leaf. So leaf, so like that's where we make the prediction, and that's called leaf. So far what we learned in this section, this is a very short section, is people who try to do prediction in their daily life, not scientists, not data scientists, not data analysts, even they would have some kind of calculation running back in their mind. Like even if you go to a vegetable vendor, if you try to predict the price of a vegetable, like without knowing the price, you might think about certain macroeconomic factors. You might think like what was the price last week, what would be the price next week, how is the weather, and then you would try to come up with the price. So this is very similar to what decision tree is. There are better models, like fancier models, that might help you in predict this in much better way. But for now we looked at decision tree. In decision tree we learned about how simple rules can help us come up with some kind of prediction. We also learned how when we make a decision tree slightly complex and slightly deeper, slightly with more factors and more splits, the decision tree's outcome, the accuracy, the prediction accuracy might be a lot better than what we have done before. So that takes us to the end of this section. So we also learned about training data, what is training and fitting, and what is prediction, so all these things. So now the next section is going to be about a very basic data exploration. So this section is going to be about basic data exploration, and for basic data exploration we are going to use a Python package called Pandas. Pandas is one of the most important libraries that you would probably use in your data analytics, data science lifecycle, machine learning lifecycle. Pandas is used for data frame manipulation. And what is a data frame? A data frame nothing but a tabular data structure. You have rows and columns. You have rows and columns, that's what your tabular data structure is. Now how do you import Pandas? If you remember how we did learn about external libraries in the last class. So Pandas, you just say import Pandas as PD. So that's how you import Pandas. One of the most important aspects of Pandas library is a data frame. Like I said, a data frame is nothing but a table. It's very similar to your Excel sheet or a table in your SQL database. It's almost similar to that. Now let's look at a data set. The data set is about home prices in Melbourne, Australia. So from Australia, this data set is about Melbourne, Australia, and then you can see how do you read it. So first of all, for you to read the data set, for you to get the data set, you need the file path. You need to know where the file, the CSV, is present. If you are on your local machine, you need to know where the CSV, the data set, is present in your local machine. If you are on cloud or anywhere else, you first need the path of the file. So that's what this is. You first need the path of the file, and once you have the path of the file, then you can use PD. PD is the alias with which we have already read Pandas data frame. We can say PD dot read underscore CSV, and then you can give this path here. So this path, the path that you have defined here as Melbourne file path, you can give the same path here, and then you can read PD dot read underscore CSV. So that path will come here. Once you read it, now you have a data frame here. So once you read that CSV, whatever the content of CSV, which is like Excel file, CSV stands for comma separated, whatever the content of CSV is inside this data frame. Now let's say you want to describe how the data frame looks like. That's what you can do with this method called describe. When you say Melbourne data dot describe, when you use this method, it would show like this. It would show summary statistics whenever you have a numeric variable. Whenever you have a numeric variable, it would show summary statistics saying what is the count of it, what is the mean of it, what a mean is like arithmetic average, what is standard deviation, what is the minimum value, what is the 25th percentile value, 50th percentile value, 75th percentile value, max value. So now you might ask me, what am I going to do with all these things, right? Like why do I need to know the summary statistics? It is important for you to know the summary statistics so that you can understand the distribution of the data, which means how your data is spread, like what is the content of your data, and that is what you can understand from the summary statistics. For example, when you look at mean, let's say when you look at mean, you know, oh, this is probably my average value. For example, if you see rooms, okay, number of rooms, if you see this and then if you see this, now you can assume that on an average all the houses that I have got in Melbourne data set has got approximately 3 rooms. Now there is a catch. There's a catch. What is the catch? The catch is mean, the arithmetic average is subjective to outliers, so it might swing when there is outlier. Now what do I mean by outlier? Let's imagine that almost all the house prices are like house rooms are like 2, 3, 4, so you have like this, and suddenly there is 111 and suddenly there is 112. Okay, so it's like, you know, in a company, if you see, you've got similar salaries and suddenly you've got CEO. So now your salary goes for a toss. So now when you use mean, it might actually capture a wrong picture. So that's why using 50th percentile would give you better picture. So when you compare your mean and your 50th percentile, which is median, you don't see a lot of difference. So which means there is not a lot of outliers in this data. So that's one thing you can understand from this. The second thing is standard deviation. What is standard deviation? Standard deviation kind of tells you how much your mean might change between these data. For example, what it says is like maximum about 1 room. Like if you have got 3 rooms as an average, some houses have 2 rooms, some houses have 4 rooms, so it's about like one room is the change. And what is the minimum value of the rooms? Like minimum is 1 and maximum is 10 rooms. Like we discussed, maximum is 10 room, but still it's not a big outlier for it to drag it. So using summary statistics, using the describe method, what we can get to know is we can understand how our data is. We can understand the distribution of data, like what is the maximum value. So you can see 75th percentile is still 3 rooms, which means very less number of higher rooms are present in only in the last 25th percentile data. So this will help you understand how your data looks, what kind of model you can use, and like how you can probably like better make insights from the data that you have got. So it is extremely helpful from that piece. So like if you have something like that, then you can actually understand using this summary statistics what all things that you can do in the future. Like for example, there is a missing value. Should you take mean? Should you take median? How do you do missing value imputation? So all those things you can understand by looking at this. So it is very important for you to have an understanding about your data point before even you could start building the model. So do not build the model before you could use the you could understand the data. So what we did is very less, but you can actually do more in data exploration. But let's now get started with the coding exercise. Let me open it in the new tab. So now we are set for our exercise. Let's start our machine first. So we should start our machine, which is using this. The first assignment, our first assignment is to load data. So we have got Iowa data file, and then we need to load the data using pandas. Again, I would always recommend you to try this code yourself, but this is just the first lesson in machine learning, so I just wanted to do it. So the first step for us to import a library is import pandas as PD, and then next we have defined a file path where the file path is, and next we have to say read the CSV. So how do we say read the CSV? We can simply say pd dot read underscore CSV, and inside that we can say, sorry, without code because it's an object name already. Run it. Correct. So we use pd dot read underscore CSV, and also as an exercise you can go to pandas documentation and then see what other things read underscore CSV can do, like what kind of arguments you can pass. So now the next step is for us to print the summary statistics. Like we learned about it, like we read the data frame I forgot the data frame name. Home data, copy it, come back and paste it, describe. Okay, now there is a typo. I'll run with the typo, then I'll show you, like, it will throw an error. So it throws an error that there is no attribute describe. It throws this error because of my mistake. So it is describe is misspelled. We can fix it, run it. So we got the data frame description, like summary statistics. And now the question is, what is the average lot size? So lot area, so average lot size is 10516, rounded to the nearest integer, So what is the lot size? 10517. Okay. And newest old home. So how do we get? So we have year built, and if we use year built and we see the maximum value, we know when is the newest year built. So 2010 is what we see. Let's run it. Incorrect. As of today, how old? Oh, sorry, the question is not the year in which we built. As of today, how old is the newest home? I'm sorry. So as of today, it is like 2021. So it is 11 years old, right? So I misread the question. Yeah, 11 years old. That's good. So the next thing is, think about your data. The newest house in your data isn't that new. Few potential explanations for this, because either they did not build a house in the most recent 10 years, or your data was collected long time back. So if the question is now, if you think the data has been collected long time back, will you be comfortable in building a model or trusting your model? Because your data is going to be very old, and that may not capture the entirely, like, that may not have true picture of what is happening currently in the situation. Or if there is no new houses built today, still do you trust the data? So now, in which case do you trust, in which case do you not trust? So just join the discussion thread, which I'll link in the description, or also you can see as part of the notebook. So you can actually join the discussion and then share your thoughts about it, and also you can let me know in the comment section what is about it. In the next section, we'll learn about how to build our first machine learning model, and in this section we just learned about the basics of what kind of things happen in machine learning model, basic data exploration. So get ready for the next session. Let's get 30 days together. Thank you so much for listening to me.